I made a hidden test which showed a second child isn't mine and wife started hiding something, so I investigated further and made her pack her bags after I saw what was in her chats. About a month and a half ago I noticed my wife was seeming pretty stressed. She would hardly look at me for a few days. I know work has been busy, so I ramped up my efforts around the house and offered for her to go to bed early while I put the boys to bed, lots of words of affirmation, etc. She came home one day and said we're going to talk after the boys are in bed. I said well geez, how am I supposed to eat supper with that lingering around? She came into the living room and said that she's sick of me having 2 to 3 drinks a night, being lazy, and not bonding with our 2 boys enough, and that she needs some space, and may want to separate. We talked over things and I thought, well these issues are easy enough to fix, and I said well you go get your space, and I'll take care of things on my end. First week I reached out quite a bit and didn't do real well giving her space. She just kept telling me she wants to find her happiness, and I need to just work on myself. Which I have been, joined the gym and started running, no drinking, taking care of the boys, and going to therapy. Second and third weeks after a lot of stress, thinking and reflecting I did much better at not reaching out unless it was for the kids' logistics. Now for some backstory. Just under 3 years married. December 2019 I got a FB message while I was at work from a gal in New York. She said she had found a Snapchat relationship between my wife and her husband on his phone. She was pregnant with twins with no marriage problems. I asked for more info. Apparently they met on a Weight Watchers Connect app and for months they had been going back and forth planning their futures, I love yous, photos, the whole bit. My wife was a couple months pregnant with our second son. She told him she didn't want to have another child with me and she wanted to be with him. There was evidence of a hotel meetup near our home around the time my second child was conceived. Both of their stories were they ate fast food, watched TV for an hour, and she left. The craziest part is she took our 2-year-old son with her to meet the stranger. The gal reached out to my wife the night before she messaged me and got some BS story about how she was just trying to catfish him and get some money. Same story when I confronted my wife. Finally after some prying she started fessing up to things but only what she knew I knew. We talked and I asked who she wanted to be with, crying and begging me to stay. I didn't leave her on the line long at all before forgiving her. All I asked was for every single detail, and get it all out in the open so something wouldn't come out later on. I don't believe I ever did get that. I started investigating and found a mystery number from Illinois on our phone bill. They would talk for hours 10 minutes after I left for work, before I got home, and my wife would call me when she was off for 1 minute and talk to him for 25 minutes. I reached out to the New York gal and asked if she had another phone. She had some app and looked the number up and said that name was all over my wife's Instagram. I didn't even know she had IG. She sent me a link and sure enough, tons of inappropriate exchanges with strange men on there too. I confronted my wife and she desperately begged and cried. Stupid me forgave her. Fast forward to today, my wife and I met to talk last week and told me she wants a divorce. After everything she has put me through I do not disagree. I persistently asked if there is someone else, she says no but her body language says yes. She's lost a lot of weight and looks amazing, took her ring off, new hair, nails, bras and underwear, changed her phone password. She's on Facebook 24/7 and texts a pen pal lady from WW hundreds of times a day. I know the answers I want to see are on her phone, but I don't have access. I did get to see that the past year she has been on the Connect app again making very inappropriate comment exchanges with men and sharing her Snapchat info, men talking about her feet, and how much fun they have with her on Snap. Awkwardly her favorite thing to say now is that she hopes I'll be her best friend forever, and still grill her steaks and help her find a new car when all this is over. Ain't that a kick in the balls? I know we have to co-parent, but WTF? Advice, support, criticism accepted. Update. Reading about divorce has got me through some of the roughest times. We're so early into the process I still just feel as though I'm stuck in purgatory. Had a couple really good days with our 2 boys, went out and took them to some events I would normally skip. It's hard getting through people asking where my wife is. What would you say this early on? I still have a deep inner hope she will come around and try to work through this, but I think it's just wishful thinking. I don't want to go around telling everybody we are divorced in the slim chance we would reconcile though. Evenings and mornings leave me wondering if she's in bed alone like me or possibly laying next to the man she could spend forever with. How long before I can move on, at least physically? I feel as though the attention of another would really give me a boost of confidence and hope for the future. Update. Had a couple awesome days with my sons last weekend, and it's carrying over into a great week. Therapy yesterday and tried out a divorce care group at a church in the city. I'll definitely keep up with that. I still haven't been handed papers and I meet with my lawyer next week. My current goal is to continue improving myself and building my support circle, and per the group I'm working towards putting what I cannot control in God's hands. Today I got a haircut, cleaned the house and opened up the pool. Thank you God for a new day. Update. Wife and daycare have had the boys this week while I've been using up some paternity leave and getting things caught up and taking some me time. Wednesday I called a buddy to go to dinner and he invited me along with his dad, aunt and sister to the casino for a $3 chicken dinner night. I'd never joined the casino club, so I got $20 free play. We got a good meal for $6 with tip, and I won $125 on my free play and walked out of there on top of the world. Yesterday I went and exercised, then went fishing during the day and evening, not much luck there. Today, I was feeling pretty down for the first part of the day. The only trigger I can think of is a couple times throughout the week in texts about logistics for the boys. She was wondering what I had planned for Friday evening. I just replied tentative plans, and last night she texted me wondering what day I was taking the boys out of town to meet my sister. We had our weekend plan for the boys set, so there really wasn't much need for the when and wheres. My wife is still living rent-free in my head at times, especially when it comes to a show of potential curiosity. Wishful thinking has me wanting to read into it. Is she curious how I'm holding up, or is she making plans around me and the boys' absence? I really don't want to dwell on it, so I figured I'd lay it out here to get it off my mind. Where I'm at now versus when I made my first post is a long ways down the positive road, the mental roadblock I'm anticipating when and where I will be physically and mentally when I find out she has moved on sexually with other partners. I haven't had a lot of serious relationships in my life, so I can only assume I'm a little immature in this part of breaking up. Our relationship was very loving and sexual, built on a foundation of no trust or communication, so I know it's a matter of time before the itch needs scratched. Other reading has led me to it's none of my business. I am working on fully understanding that still. Update. I got to see my spouse's profile, and I'm amazed at the amount of inappropriate conversations she is having with random men there. Even going so far as to post her Snapchat on there and send God knows what. Back in 2019 she cheated on me by having 2 relationships that stemmed from connection. Luckily one of the members' wives reached out to me and brought it to light. Is this a common theme for the Connect app? Finally got some initial paperwork sent off and got to meet with my lawyer for the first time. She painted a picture for me of what divorce looks like, and I felt relieved and panic at the same time. My STBXW will be getting a lot of money for a 26 years old to manage. Good luck. Luckily I'm only 34 and can rebuild my retirement. CS was not as bad as I thought if we agreed on 50/50 like we are supposed to. She came and got some of her stuff out, that was nice. She's been mostly dark on social media through this, and it appears she's going to be easing back into it with posts of our kids and selfies labeled "She's finally happy." That hurt a little bit, but a good workout helped ease that. This whole deal feels like overcoming an obsession. Just when I think I beat it, here comes the post with her sister commenting, "Happy looks good on you. Get a real woman," like she has been so miserable the past 8 years, while I have been treating her like a queen and paving the path to success we were on. I'm continuing on that path, but it is just me and the boys now. Good luck on your path. I'm getting better at not caring what she is doing. Should I delete her on social platforms? I feel like the only reason I haven't is my curiosity, and really I probably don't need to see what's to come for my own healing. Update. Posting because I had the weirdest grief trigger today. Let me start by saying this friend of mine has been such a standout through my whole process. For a single guy with no kids, his insight is unmatched by every other resource I'm using to cope. My buddy invited me over to his dad's to check out his Ford Mustang projects, and to have some fried catfish, garlic bread, and fries. Delicious. We were sitting at the dinner table, and his dad got a call on some car parts. My mind was clear, I was relaxed, having a great handful of days, and something in the moment put me back to the first time me and my STBXW, GF at the time, took my crappy little boat out for the first time. Grief swept over me like an ocean, and I was off the rest of the time spent there. When I got in my car and left, all I could do was cry while I tried to find the picture. I found it. She looked beautiful, proudly holding up the small panfish she caught. I loved that picture. The crying stopped as I remembered she hated the picture because her arm looked fat. My STBX went out on a rebel night last night and was still hung over at 12 p.m. when I dropped the boys off. My friend helped me realize she's showing you exactly why you shouldn't be with her. The old me would have reached out in these moments and spilled my guts. Thanks to my friend, you guys, and NC, I did not. I remind myself that if I stay on the high road, I will come out of this better than I went into it. Thank you. Update. Just under 2 months into divorce/sep, no papers to me yet. Tonight I picked up the boys from her parents where she's staying, and she invited me in to sing happy birthday, and to have cake and ice cream for the boys' birthdays. There's also talk of a joint birthday party when her rental is ready. I feel like I've made a lot of progress, but may not be ready for that. I texted her and asked her to please have the boys packed up and ready to go at 7 p.m. She replied, "Don't you want to stay and have cake and ice cream?" I just said no thanks and got back an "oh okay." I would like to get to that point of co-parenting in the future, but it's been kinda tearing me up today that I'm not ready for that. I love my boys more than anything, I just wish I never had to speak to her again. I feel like in my situation and the way my STBXW knows how I am, she would have an expectation of how I would handle the separation and divorce. To be honest, I surprise myself every day after discovering NC and all of the other steps I'm taking, enjoying freedom, time by myself with our kids, exercise, therapy, church group, etc. I can't help but wonder and, dare I say, get a little enjoyment out of the fact that my unpredictable acceptance has to be quite confusing to her. STBXW was spotted out on a date the other night by someone I know. LOL, so much for wanting to be alone to find happiness. This crap is all so predictable. I had a dream I actually remembered the other night for the first time in months, and I wondered if it had something to do with it. Update. After riding on top of the waves of grief for weeks, I finally fell, and this weekend was rough. Triggers were finding out from someone I know Saturday morning that she was on a date night Thursday at a place we used to frequent. I left the high road briefly and broke in to confront her, and of course she lied before eventually admitting it. I shared some choice words with her, and she finally showed up to get her stuff, with an on-duty sheriff deputy and all. Real dramatic, just as I figured she would be. She didn't take much, so I believe it was just for show. I kept my cool and chatted with the deputy about our divorces. Later in the day, someone reached out and told me she was in her town parade in a squad car with a deputy she works with, who I believe she's been having an affair with for some time, and my son was in her lap. Man, talk about a rough, mentally exhausting weekend. I couldn't even get my workouts to clear my head. I made it through it, and I'm climbing my way back out of the hole. Never give up and don't break, NC. We're all going to be just fine. I'm just praying it doesn't get a whole lot worse before it gets better. I just want those damn papers so I can get this crap over with. Update. I could really use so recommendations on how to break the thought of sex with an ex. Yesterday my STBXW told me she is dating a coworker, and we've only been separated for 2.5 months. I'm moving on well most days, but it's still a roller coaster. I'm having a hard time blocking out thoughts and images of sexual encounters with her. Not like memories, just fabricated scenarios of her affair. This will be a huge obstacle out of my way after I'm able to process it and move on from it. I dealt with a similar issue with myself after she had an affair a couple years ago in our marriage. I don't have therapy until next week, so I figured you guys could help me. 2.5 months separated, 47 pounds down, some new proper fitting clothes, regular workout routine, weekly therapy and divorce care group, an improved routine, quality time, and occasional adventures with my children. Yesterday was a roller coaster ride, today I'm a new man. Now just bring on those papers. Update. I got off last night so I slept until about 1 p.m. I got up, weighed in at a new low, 49 pounds down in 3mo, mowed the entire property, did pool chores and hopped in to cool off. At the same time I was doing laundry so that was caught up. Since the split I've been taking much better care of myself. I shaved and showered and trimmed my goatee. Put on some fresh clothes and I text a few buds. Nobody really had much going on so I decided to go get sushi at a fancy place by myself. Seated in a booth for 4 I ordered a neri, tempura roll and yellowtail nigiri. The waitress was a very nice older lady. Sitting there in a crowded restaurant at a table too large for just myself, surrounded by families and groups of friends enjoying each other's company, I felt oddly at peace. There was a lingering loneliness but not a lot of strength to it. I put my dinner on SC, because you can't eat a $50 sushi meal and not post it. The stylist that cut my hair replied and invited me over to a bar she and her friend were at to have some drinks. Normally I would say no thanks or I'd be with my spouse, and that would be out of the question. I said hell yeah, I'll swing over. I went and had a couple beers and had some of the most random conversations and best laughs I've had in years in those 2 hours. Today existed so I know things will and are getting better. As much as it can feel like a burden, being alone can also be a gift. We are all going to be just fine. The STBXW is finally getting her stuff out and moving into her rental. Just gotta get through the day is all I keep telling myself. She brought her BF's truck, so she didn't have to use mine. Could use some inspiration to help me get through the day and wake up a new man tomorrow. Update. Today I had to meet up with my STBXW to go over the next couple months' parenting time schedule and preschool schedule for our oldest. I'm a shift worker so it'll take a while before we can really recognize the pattern. I met up with her at her new rental house after I dropped the boys off at daycare. I already declined one invite to tour the place, but I really couldn't come up with a more convenient meeting spot, so I just told myself to put the blinders on, be a gray rock and get in and out ASAP. I did really well at not looking around and kept the meeting very businesslike and organized, and we were done in an hour. She said, I don't mean to make small talk, but how is your new position at work? Do you like it? How's your mom? Etc. Thanks to Reddit and knowing what a gray rock is, I kept the answers to one word good. I couldn't help but speculate what that was all about. I have been in NC for a while now outside of logistics for the boys. I was proud of myself today. That was the longest I've had to be around her in 3 months, and I kept my emotions and head in check very well before, during, and after. I wanted to post here to see if these are considered breadcrumbs or just some curiosity. Normal. I've already made it very clear we will never be friends, but I do want to be successful co-parents, which we are doing very well at so far. Post history will tell most of our dynamic for anyone really wanting to dig in. Thank you. Our oldest son has been talking a lot about AP, and I finally broke MC and confronted STBX and told her it's happening and I am handling it properly. She replied and backpedaled on her lie that they weren't living together, but planned to move in together in the near future. That stings, but I sent a very eloquent reply outlining that her business is not mine and that this situation will damage our boys more than it ever will me. I said the obvious. This is a rebound and will result in more trauma for them as someone they learn to care about and love will enter and exit their life. She didn't mention our kids in any of her dialogue. It's obvious where both of our priorities are at. Final update. 6 months ago I thought I was dying. There were times I even thought that dying would have been easier than feeling all the pain. Man, I can't even get close to putting myself in that space again. Separation was harder than suddenly losing my father a few years ago. I thought I was losing my children, I was losing a friend group and family on her side, my future. Luckily, I didn't take the easy path of sulking and playing the victim. I got to work, started IC, slapped the gym hard, divorce care, reconnected with friends and family, ate better and read. Reddit was one of the best resources and minimal contact has been one of the best tools. I still don't know what my future looks like, but I've never been closer to my boys. I don't work extra shifts anymore and I'm getting in really good physical shape. Her lawyer is slow as hell, so I really don't expect negotiations to be done anytime soon, but I'm happy for the first time in my life. I've learned more about myself in the last 6 months than I have in 34 years. For those that are in the early stages, stay strong and do whatever you have to survive the day. With time and hard work, you will be better, and it will be worth all the effort. My oldest had a school program tonight, and I got to see my soon-to-be ex-wife and AP together for the first time. He's been around but lurking in the shadows for 7 months now. Soon-to-be ex-wife had a lot of family there, including AP's mom. We were exchanging kids at the program. I had a row reserved for them, but they quickly walked to a different area. I got up with my youngest like a man and walked over to them. In front of a large portion of the community, I handed my boy over after kissing him and gave nightly details. I turned and walked up to AP, reached past his mom, and shook his hand and didn't say a word. I just put on my best face of thank you and good luck, turned and walked away. He didn't even stand up from his seat and his handshake went soft. I am finally the bigger man I've wanted to be.